You are now tuned into the Clout101 Marketing Podcast.
Do anything for clout.
Dissecting the marketing strategies behind the most influential people, brands, and moments in culture.
A whole lot of people need to hear this.
Today is your day.
Power your hustle with the Clout101 Marketing Podcast.
Hey guys, it's Chizzy Drew here.
This is your girl Chanel, and you are now tuned into
Clout101.
Clout101 Podcast.
And now your host, Idia Ogala.
On today's episode, we have a very incredible guest. He goes by the name CEO Matty J. Matty J is a digital real estate investor, a business coach, and a master marketer. Since 2007, Matty J has launched and developed over 300 brands and campaigns, including CEO Millionaires, Dabbin Santa with 2 Chainz, Fine Girls by Draya, and Snoblife by Ming Lee, to name a few. He's also worked with celebrities such as Kanye West, Master P, Bow Wow, Soulja Boy, Miley Cyrus, and the Kardashian family. On this episode, Matty J and I discuss the importance of documenting your process. They call him Mr. Document Your Process. So he's a master at that, at creating value on new platforms, So we met on Clubhouse, and Clubhouse is one of the many platforms that he's an early adopter on and turns into an influencer on. So I think it's very cool to hear his perspective, how he approaches these different opportunities. On making 6 figures a month with peer-to-peer platforms like Turo, like Airbnb. He's actually one of the top Turo host and car rental specialists in the country. So I thought that's also interesting to hear. And also on creating online courses. So we talk about a lot of different things, gives a lot of life tips, marketing tips, branding tips. So please tune in. Lastly, and very, very important, we ask that you please head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review, give us a rating. It will mean the world to us. The podcast is available everywhere, on Spotify, on Google Play, and all these different platforms. But if you can head over to Apple and throw us a review, that would be incredible. And lastly, it is International Women's Day, so we are asking that you please check out some of the amazing episodes that we have in the Rolodex, all featuring amazing women who are doing incredible things. So episode 1 features Chizzy Drew, episode 2 is Chanel Delisser, and episode 3 again Lavish Ruby. So if you can check it out and share it with your friends, that would be amazing. Thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate it. And here you go, CEO Matty J. Tap in, and we hope you guys enjoy. All right, yeah, so let's jump in. I like to ask folks to kick off interviews, to describe who they are, because I think we let the world, kind of describe us. We let certain things, certain categories kind of box us in. Who are you? Who's Matty J?
That's a good question. So for me, I like the term that really resonated with me: an architect, a facilitator of building things, building ideas, businesses, building people. And through that process of being an architect and a servant in that space, I've been able to build myself and be self-aware of myself and be able to leverage the relationships that I've had for helping people build themselves to build me. And that's the interdependent aspect of it. I was reading the book, I think it was How to Win Friends That Influence People. Or Seven Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey. He mentioned the difference between independence, dependence, and interdependence. And through those definitions, I really tapped into how I can associate myself with relationships that are interdependent. For those who don't know, independence is somebody who doesn't have to rely on anybody. Dependence, obviously, we have to rely on somebody in that aspect. But interdependence is, even though you don't have to rely on somebody, it's better to work with somebody as a team to be able to go farther in that specific space that you're trying to grow in. So I really love platonic, interdependent relationships.
How did you get to that point? Obviously, it takes some semblance of growth and evolution, but also exposure to understand that that's the best form of coexistence, to be able to develop yourself in business. How did you get to that point?
That was it. What you said was exposure. I like that term. I was exposed. And first off, I want to give glory to God. God allows us to be in certain positions, and depending on our heart and the lesson that God wants us to have, we'll be able to recognize opportunities once you are exposed to them. I mean, and so with me, I was exposed to being around amazing people that had a lot of experience in their life. I've been exposed to people via social media. And for me, I realized one of the key relationship hacks that I've had was I'm really genuinely interested in what people do. I listen. I'm asking them really good questions and getting good insight from them. And I'm applying it to my life. And when I meet other people, I'm more in tune into having a broader conversation because I had so many conversations in that space before with other people. Even if I'm not in the space of construction, I've listened to so many people who talking about construction that I can hold a conversation next time I have a meet with somebody that's in that specific space. So that exposure, that willingness to listen, the gratefulness and glory to God, I think those are all the foundational pieces for me being able to get to where I'm at right now in my life.
With that ability to listen, right, or interest in listening, learning about people's stories and broadening your horizons, that comes with a certain semblance of like resourcefulness, right? You can take different things from other groups and apply it to what you're working on. So part of how I even like saw you as someone who I wanted on this platform, right, was as soon as I hopped in Clubhouse, I was trying to learn the platform. You were very resourceful. Someone brought you up on the stage and was mentioning about, how you sold a whole bunch of weights during the pandemic, was able to make a couple of six figures, right? I heard you talk and you were speaking and trying to help people through their challenges on the marketing side. And I felt you were adding a lot of value for them. Then I went on your bio and I saw all the stuff there that you've done, almost like a one pager of all the biggest, accomplishments or accomplishments that you wanted to share with folks, I should say. So what do you attribute like that resourcefulness to?
All right. So my mentor told me the line, I don't give to get, but I realize the more that I give, the more that I get. He told me that line. There's three core values: my faith and spiritual connection with God. The second one is my transparency, and the third core value that I have is resourcefulness. It's a core value of mine, and I didn't pick these core values. This is something that I was just doing by action. But the questions you asked was, how did I get to that point of being resourceful? I need a little. I probably can't think of the origin story of when it started, or maybe I can. I think it was in high school. I think it was high school. So for me, I really love candy. Like I got a sweet tooth. And my high school, they weren't offering the candy that I wanted. So I literally was providing it for my friends. For myself first. Well, here's the thing. All right, so here's the thing. I do things for myself, but I don't keep it to myself. That was the mindset that I had. So when I was buying the candy for myself, of course, naturally was like, yo, can I get some? Cool. I made it a thing that everybody can get some share the candy with me. However, it got to a point where that wasn't really scalable. It was taking a lot of my time. So that transitioned into creating a business, right? And I started selling candy in high school through that process of me wanting to eat the candy myself for free and then facilitating for those who didn't have the resources to go to the store or the time or even want to go to the store and buy the candy. Because you can buy the candy directly from the store. Why are you buying it from me? It's because it was accessible. It was resourceful in that specific place that they're in. So I started doing that early, but I realized how powerful and impactful it was from the feedback I was getting. The feedback in the early stages of my life was, yo, I appreciate you for being the one selling the candy, even though I'm paying, but we really appreciate you being the one to wake up early in the morning before school, to go to the Smart and Final, basically a wholesale store, and purchasing the candy. And that feedback was amazing. Me having the name, they used to call me Candyman to the point where the teachers, the faculty was all calling me Candyman. I really felt the love and the vibe of being a resourceful person. And through that good feedback, it's just a domino effect of how can I serve more? How can I present more opportunities to provide services to other people? So I think that's where it started, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think we all have not all, but I think a lot of us have done that. The candy thing in high school. I did that in middle school. I used to go cop from the ice cream man. He used to sell cheap candy, sour powers and stuff like that. And I used to flip it in school. That's dope. And obviously there's some positive feelings that you feel for yourself when you're able to do well for other people and hold other people down. But I think, two things can coexist. You can have that fulfilling feeling of doing something that makes you feel good, but also know that you're creating value for other people. What about faith? So I was listening to a couple of interviews, and I think it's the one with David Shands.
Yeah, my brother, David Shands.
Yeah. So you guys spoke a lot about faith. And I appreciated that because you listen to, I won't drop names, but a lot of folks who are in the entrepreneurial space, it's almost like they make it seem like they've done it themselves, right? No team involved. They don't tap into any spiritual, higher being and everything. It's almost like they're a one-man show. So when they're trying to teach, it's hard for them to teach because they don't allow folks to know what they tap into for sources of like inspiration and to power through. But I feel like with you and David, for you guys to lead with your faith, it allows people to know that, okay, listen, this is doable, right? Like if I tap into something, if I put in a consistent effort, it can be fruits of my labor. So can you talk about faith and just how that shaped your journey, navigating relationships, navigating opportunities, navigating business?
First off, I'm glad that you were able to notice that because sometimes you don't know what's impactful until somebody actually shares it and notices certain things. So when it comes to me, faith, remember, faith is one of my other core values. And the crazy thing is you didn't even know. You mentioned 3 of my core values. No, you mentioned 2 of my core values and you didn't even realize. So with my faith, that's the foundation. That's the source. And I was literally on Clubhouse. I'm like, dang, out of all these different conversations and topics on these social networks, nobody, especially on Clubhouse, is really talking about their faith. Like you said, it sounded like everybody's just coming up with these ideas themselves. They just woke up and I believe that information came from some type of source. And for me, that source is our creator. And I believe that God is the one who allows us to be in the position to be able to learn these things. But for what reason, I have to ask myself, why am I so knowledgeable in marketing if I never went to like a marketing class or never went to school for it? I think we all have a specific purpose. For me, I believe my faith, my purpose in my faith is to lead souls to also have that same relationship with God, or maybe more impactful relationship that I have with my creator. So for me, like I mentioned before, again, it's the source. And I always mention faith and my relationship with God because a lot of times people thank the water bottle for quenching their thirst instead of the one who created the water. We praise the creation and not the one who created. Like people say, oh, it's a beautiful day. I love the sun and all the sun's radiance, but who created the sun? We didn't, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really big on congratulating the source and praising the source so people can actually tap into, again, the source of the strength, the knowledge, the wisdom, the energy, the power. Everything comes from that. And of course, I get it. It's kind of touchy realm like politics. But if you really are grateful, you would not be ashamed to give glory to your source, no matter what room you're in. Of course, you got to be, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to be considerate to other people's belief. However, I shouldn't lower my love and my reverence for my creator for the fear to offend somebody. Of course, at the end of the day, that's just a communication skill that we develop over time. So sometimes, even myself, I'm kind of usually vague with my praise for my creator to the point of this. Without going into the rabbit hole, I actually believe in 2 gods. See, look at your reaction. I'll be waiting for that. So bringing up my faith in my creators, plural, I believe that we have a father and a mother in heaven. You know what I'm saying? And I always want to say, how can I always give glory to God? Because if I don't give glory to God, I'm exalting myself. And then people start praising me versus the one who actually put me on. So, you know what I'm saying? That's how I see it when it comes to business, personal development, and any of my communications. I try to do it in a strategic way.
You mentioned something and then you kind of gave some context to it. I just want to call it back. So you said consideration to other people and how you kind of walk in faith, but also are mindful of other people and their experiences. Is there a non-negotiable for doing business with folks that align with you and kind of walk with those same pillars as you? Or are you kind of like, okay, I can make it work because, Jesus, is a forgiving symbol and I have to just make sure that I'm not judging folks based on how they choose to, to go about life. Not saying that there's a right or wrong. I'm just curious because I know some people have non-negotiables when they engage and have conversations and build with people,
So what I know that works best for me based on what you asked is the more I share my faith and the way I move, the less people come at me with, yo, can you set, I'm a web developer as well. Can you set up my porn website? Less people come at me with that, right? But the ones who do, early in my stages, I realized I was getting a lot of requests for certain things. Like I'm not really big in promoting cannabis and drugs, but right now the cannabis industry is booming. And a lot of people who are in that space, they need help branding wise, marketing wise, and they reach out to me for that. So I usually conflicted on how I am going to communicate with them that I'm really not associated with that specific space, but there's ways I can help you without being tied into that space. So I usually give them generalities on how I can help them with their brand and their business. So I really try to make it clear on that I don't drink, I don't smoke, I keep the Sabbath day holy. I'm communicating those things so they know up front, so it's not awkward when people ask and request my help for specific services.
Got it. I had to touch on that because I think it's important, man. I said it before, but I just want to say a lot of people try and avoid having those conversations, and you don't hear it a lot. They don't wear it on their sleeve. But I think even something as simple as like married male entrepreneurs, like things like that, like folks who are young and aspiring and trying to get to point A and point B, we see all these people we look up to who are doing it on the business side, and they don't even exalt their families. They don't amplify the fact that they, 10 years ago made a decision and that helped.
Mm-hmm. And now go to the deciding factors.
Exactly. They don't talk about that. So there are a lot of us who maybe don't have strong values to stand on. We push people out of our lives that don't fit that model. You feel me? But I'm not going to say idols, right? Because you're not supposed to idolize other people. But if the people we look up to were very transparent about their journey and about everything that contributes to who they are, it'll make it easier for other people to be able to lean in. Like, all right, cool. I think that's important.
That's my third core value, transparency, man. That transparency.
That's crazy.
That's key. The more transparent we are on all aspects of our life, 360, the more people will say, yo, it is cool. It is okay for me to be able to tell them that my divorce is the reason why I started it, whatever the case may be, whether it's good or bad. That transparency is definitely key for my growth and development, at least. And most importantly, the impact of others.
Yeah. Nah, that's dope.
That's strong, man. And this ain't no interview. This is straight up conversation.
Listen, man, I'm trying. Gotta pull out the gems. So I checked out your Airbnb cash flow video. I have a couple more questions before we get into like the real case study portion. But listen to the Airbnb cash flow video on YouTube. You made a good point, like introducing, I guess, the subject that you want to cover. You said most people don't know, why they got into business. They're aimless because there's no intentionality. So what's the purpose behind the businesses that you've started?
For me, I love the process of building. I love the process. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the early stages. I love the ideation stage. I love the building stage. I love the managing stage. And then typically I move on to the next after I graduate throughout those stages. But for me, one of my main intentionalities is documenting the process so other people can see how it can be done for them. I like being the first penguin to be able to say, yo, you guys heard about Airbnb, you guys heard about Turo, you heard about building courses, but you haven't had anybody to actually lead by example, somebody that you can connect with on an example on how you can do it too. So don't worry, I volunteer. I'm going to spend the next 3 months, 90 days building this business, documenting and showing people the wins, the L's, lessons, and everything. And I'm going to come back and bring it to everybody so you can be able to do it too. My main intention is to show people that they can do it as well in their businesses. And of course, it has residual benefits when I build out these businesses, extra income, extra cash flow. One of the biggest things that people miss that I talked about in that video is the personality growth. Through Airbnb, I literally was exposed on how bad my communication and hospitality was. I was exposed on my leadership skills, my organizational skills. I thought these are things that people praise me for. You're super organized. But I didn't realize how I was actually lacking in that area until I started Airbnb. I think a lot of people miss that benefit of building businesses is the soft skills, the hard skills, and the character development that comes through being in business.
That's dope. I like that because a lot of people kind of lean into their strengths and maybe try and find folks to plug their weaknesses to help them be able to evolve. There's no problem with that, but it's also interesting to put yourself out there to kind of do business that amplifies some of your weaknesses, that forces you to have to kind of like figure out how to make it work because it probably has positive contributions to the rest of your life,
That's when you become a superhuman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that term that you said. A lot of people lean into their strengths and they just focus on that. I think it's because they want to be glorified for it. For me, I don't want any glory. I want to grow. I want to grow. And through that growth process, I'm going to document it so I can show people how they can be able to do it as well and grow in their situation. And that's what that interdependence is. The more I grow, and I use the example of, matter of fact, HOA, if one person's household lawn is well manicured and landscaped, it raises the value of the whole community. That's why HOA is put in place to make sure everybody is on the same page, the same standard, so nobody's valuation of their homes is decreased because this group of homes over here doesn't want to take care of the lawn or doesn't want to take care of the roof or whatever the case may be. So if I don't take care of my lawn, my roof, it's not about me. It's about the community, common unity. So once I realize that in that perspective, I'm always now self-aware of how what I'm doing is affecting others.
That's fire. You also mentioned the idea of leveraging your businesses. So like the car rental, the crib rental, for the purpose of serving your marketing business. So can you talk a little bit about that? Can you like detail your marketing business and how the other ones power everything on the marketing side?
Definitely. I feel like the most exciting thing for me in business is marketing, but a lot of people don't ever get to the marketing phase because they're not marketable. And then marketing becomes daunting and and really expensive because they didn't do the proper things necessary to be able to become marketable so they can have effective marketing. So I own a marketing agency and I own this right now. I'm focusing on helping people build their own online courses. So those are the two things I'm focusing on. I realized that Airbnb and my Turo business, my side businesses, completely helped with my marketing business and with my course building business because conversations completely change when I tell people, yo, I own a luxury car rental company with 43 cars and I drive all my cars for free. I don't pay for my cars, my business pay for them. Their eyes blow up and be like, yo, what did you just tell me? Because that's something that people are really interested in, especially in the lifestyle and the culture that most Black people, African Americans are in. We're known for our clothes. We always talk about the cars that we drive and the homes that we live in. So the cars I'm driving everybody's dream cars. The condos I'm in, I'm literally sleeping in and renting out the homes that people love to be in. So those businesses are conversation starters. It actually allows me to show a lot of my value because, again, these aren't just my cars that I drive. I offer to anybody who's willing to be able to compensate me to be able to have access to. Same thing with the condos. I can't just brag about my condos because I'm sleeping in them. No, you have the opportunity to sleep in them too. You can book the condo, you can book the car. I'm in the sharing community space, a peer-to-peer space. So once I allow people to know that that's the services that I'm offering, they get really interested on deals. Like I built relationships with Lamar Odom because of my Airbnb space. He was in a situation where he's getting a house built, but he has to wait 3 months for the completion. So now he needs an Airbnb in an area to be able to stay in. And somebody said, yo, my boy Matt has it. He hit me up. I didn't even know it was him. My assistant let him in. I looked at my Ring camera and I saw this almost 7 foot tall basketball player walking in my car. I'm like, wait, the heck? That's Lamar Odom. And through that relationship, I introduced myself. I introduced what I do, what value I provide. And now we're doing business on a whole nother tip that had nothing to do with Airbnb. So I was able to use Airbnb, my Turo cars as leverage to be able to build relationships on other aspects of my services that I offer.
That's amazing. So that provides that credibility when you're having those initial conversations. Even if it shouldn't, the way you carry yourself, the way you present yourself should be the credibility, but you have to play the game sometimes.
Them carrots, you got to dangle the carrot. Look, I got these cars.
Exactly.
It was crazy. I would literally have these marketing meetings, but everything I would say go one ear out the other because I guess some of the stuff they don't get it. They get it, but they don't get it. And they just work with me just off of the trust and off of the strength of that it's Matty running it. But when I really say, yo, I built this car company and this is how I did, that makes more sense to them because they can see it. They see the cars. Sometimes they get seduced by the whole business. They're not even looking at the marketing contract no more. They're just signing it. They're already sold. I don't have to give no details no more on the actual marketing deliverables that I'm giving because they already sold off of the fact that I got these luxury cars that I rent out. It's really interesting.
So in addition to the course, the marketing course that you mentioned, what other marketing services do you offer?
Like literally the whole entire process. Because as a marketer, I really can't do my job unless you have your back end systems in place. Because I'll be in a situation where we do a dope marketing campaign. You get all these visits to your website, but none of them are converting because you don't have the proper copy on your website, or the shipping prices are wrong, or the product pictures are wrong, whatever the case may be. Something is causing the funnel to break off at one point. Like I tell people all the time, marketing is pretty easy. Once you know who your target audience is and you know what message you give them, but conversions, retentions, delivering on the service that you say you're going to deliver on, the customer support, that's what really makes the business be sustainable. I realized that me charging somebody $2,500 for a website, X amount of dollars for marketing was in vain, completely in vain if we don't work on the foundation first. And you'll be surprised how many entrepreneurs who have amazing ideas, they're visionaries, have amazing products, aren't able to go to the next level because they negate the foundational stuff. Like, what is your core mission for your business? What is the reason why you even started the business? Who do you want to be? What team members do you want to be a part of your organization? Like basic stuff like that is really, really hindering people. So I moved from offering most of my services to coaching on mindset, coaching on the foundation, and personal development, because our personal lives are an extension of our business. So that's what I've been moving to most recently.
I like that. So before we jump into some more specifics about the Airbnb and Turo business, other than faith, right? Other than, you say you like to be the person who's trying out these different ideas first to be able to report back to folks and inspire folks. How else did you go about becoming a student of the game? Like, were there any specific mentors, any brands that you've emulated, any entrepreneurs that you follow very closely and study?
My main influence, I did my own autobiography just so I can know what I've been through in my own life. And I wrote down the names. Some of the most influential people in my life physically that I dealt with is a gentleman named William Bradley. He had a crazy story. Went from millionaire to broke, but he still had the millionaire mindset that really inspired me. My mentor, Jason Miguel, really, really structured. He helped me and influenced me on how to optimize, how to find the right systems and tools to be able to run my business. So I'm not in my business, but I'm working on my business. Spectacular from Pretty Ricky, my business partner for the last 11 years. We went through roller coasters to get where we're at right now in business. He's been really influential for me. I'm really tapped into authors of books, and I follow them. Simon Sinek, Eric Ries, Gino Wickman, all these different authors. I study them, I follow their mindset, and I get tapped into their philosophy and the way of thinking that really influenced me. And again, like I mentioned before, most of my influences actually come from my clients. I've worked with and for most of the top entrepreneurs online with their brands, their Shopify stores, and I get to listen to their problems, not just both with the business, but their personal problems. And it's influenced me to really expand what I need to do. I literally fast tracked my success because I opened up my ears just to listen to their situations as a consultant. And a lot of times as a consultant or advisor, I got so good at listening that they actually figured out the answers to their problems themselves by just talking it out. I really like the term business therapist. Literally, a lot of people, barbers, they're therapists too. They're listening to people's problems on the chair. You know what I'm saying? I think that really helped me a lot. It's just really, like I mentioned before, being a listener and being a student. And that's being a student allowed me to be a better teacher, and a better teacher allowed me to be a better student. And that system even is in the Bible. Once somebody preaches to you, you're able to put it into practice in your faith. You now have an obligation to preach it to somebody else. That's literally the commission that Christ gave us, is to preach the gospel to all nations. And that system, it makes sense. If we preach what we practice, it forces us to practice what we preach. And that really, really helped me a lot with my influences around me.
I'm learning that the hard way, man. Transparency. No, I'm serious, bro. Because I'm learning the cycle of transparency leading to accountability, which then helps you evolve. I'm 27. It took me 26 years to get to that point. And then now I'm finally here and I'm feeling like, damn, you got to put it out there, man. Put it out there. You got to ask for help. You have to, be intent.
Yo, when's the last time somebody asked, yo, I need help?
Yes.
So, like, tell somebody else that. Not say to yourself in your room and get depressed, yo, I'm in this room because I need help.
Yeah.
I'm struggling.
Yeah. No, facts. Remember that we were having a conversation about the work we got to do this weekend, right? So I was sitting here in the office just like doing that from like 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. I was sitting here doing work. But once I hopped in that Power Circle chat, bro, and y'all were talking about, the accountability and, being humble and all that different stuff, I was sitting here just like, just writing everything down, just thinking and reflecting on the last 2 months of my life. It was like therapeutic for me. So I appreciate that. And this conversation is important. All entrepreneurs need to really, tap into that mindset. It's important.
Man, I love the conversations, man. And I was getting so many different perspectives I've never heard. Like without this app, if I was having a conversation with somebody, like it's been a lot of times where I don't respect their opinion because I basically didn't receive it. But right now through Clubhouse, I'm so more receptive to different opinions that I'm like, yo, I've never thought about it like that. And even though I might not agree wholeheartedly, I get it though. I get it at a 360 perspective, man. I really love that growth that I'm getting right now through these different conversations, especially on Clubhouse.
You're right. It forces you to listen. You have to. You can't. You have to sit back and just listen. Sometimes if you're in the audience, you're waiting for your chance to speak, and if you're on the stage, you can't look crazy. You got to make sure you at least taking in the point of what everyone else is saying. I appreciated that. I think at one point Tiffany Haddish jumped in. It was kind of pushing back on someone's point, and it just gives you, as you mentioned, like the 360 lens to everything. It's not black or white. You have to be receptive to everything, and then pick what works for you.
And look, every time somebody says something, she'll say, no. I loved it. Even though I might not agree, I just love it. I just love it.
Yeah, that's dope. All right, so jumping into the case study portion, right? So obviously we've expressed multiple times here that you have a knack for like understanding leverage and for creating value, right? So Airbnb, it's a platform that's been around for some time, but folks use it. I'm sure everyone who listens to this right now has used Airbnb, but also it's a tool that can allow us to be able to be a bridge and make money and do all that stuff. Turo as well is, I think it's newer than Airbnb, but it's also, again, it's a platform that allows you to be the bridge between one thing and another thing. So just curious as to how did you even get into those two businesses? And we can start with one if you want to just start with Airbnb or whichever one works.
2015, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I moved to Atlanta in 2015. I'm staying in a condo, like one of the top condos in Atlanta area, Midtown. And somebody tells me about Airbnb. My rent's $3,200 a month. In New York, that's normal. But in Atlanta, most people's rent's like $1,000, $1,200. I got a really dope spot. Somebody told me about Airbnb. I put it on the platform just to see what people would pay for my spot. I posted a picture. I put it up for $350. Somebody booked it. My first booking, and I didn't want to, because I was living in my spot. I couldn't rent it out. I'm like, yo. I was happy, but at the same time, I was stressed out because how do I cancel this booking? Because I don't want this person thinking that they can get here. So it was at that moment I realized, dang, somebody will pay $350 a night for this spot, and I did the math. You do $350 times, let's say, the average weekend, 12 days. That's a good $4,000 or $5,000, almost $6,000 off of a spot that you only pay $3,000. Nobody's really cash flowing $3,000 a month off of giving access to a house or a home or condo that you have access to. Now I'm comparing it to the real estate game. People build houses and then rent it out. They're probably cash flowing anywhere $600, $800, but it has a lot of stress tied to it. I'll do $3,000 off of an Airbnb app. I said, okay, this. But again, I wasn't comfortable because I used my space. I utilized every room in my condo, from my office to my lounging area, my bedroom, all that good stuff. It wasn't until, based on relationships, the leasing manager told me, yo, I got another spot for you if you want to be able to do the Airbnb. We don't allow Airbnb, meaning out of the same amount that he told me that we don't allow Airbnb for any other people, because he rocked with me, he said he was going to give me another unit. That's what happened.
Relationships.
Right? Relationships. And based on even the way that we vibing right now, that's the type of vibe that I usually get with the people I have conversations with, because we're pouring into each other. We're not just having small talk.
Yes, exactly.
That small talk, that's probably another reason. I hate small talk. So I try to figure out to have more meaningful, what can I get out of this? And what can I be able to pour back into the person that's having engaged in this conversation with me? So I had these dope conversations with the leasing manager. Most people come in these leases offices complaining about something. Maintenance, water, the bill not going, whatever the case may be. I'm probably the only one that came in there, yo, what's up, man? What you got going on? Just chopping it up. And that opened up the door for opportunities to do something that they don't allow me to be able to have an Airbnb list my listing. But then it happened kind of simultaneously. And it's like Turo and Airbnb, they're like cousins. When people come into town, they need a car and they need a condo. So it just made sense. And vertical integration. And I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to be able to manage this without overextending myself? Because I still got these other businesses that I run. My passion allowed me to make it happen. I really want to make this happen and document the process, post my journey on Instagram stories, because that's what I believe Instagram stories is supposed to be, documenting a story. So then I hopped into the Turo space. I literally was a consumer first. I used the app before, but I was driving a car that I didn't drive. My Tesla Model S, I was never driving the car because the place that I live doesn't really require much commute via vehicle. Everything's walking distance. So even if you go on Zillow, I think, or Trulia.com, they have walking scores, meaning the higher the place that you can go to, the grocery store, schooling, places like that, where walking is high, super high. I think it was like 80 percentile, 80 points. So I really didn't need a vehicle. So I'm really big on decreasing my liabilities. So right now, my $900 a month car is a liability. I'm not driving it. It's costing me money. And somebody introduced me in my condo. One of my friends that I met on the streets, we went upstairs, we started talking. He said, yo, I'll be back real quick. I need to go downstairs and hand my keys to a runner. I'm like, a runner? You in a car right on the street? He said, not really. I'm on a website called Relay Rides. At this time, it was called Relay Rides. He went downstairs, gave the key to the guest, and came back. I had a list of questions for him. Hey, bro, why in the heck are you giving somebody else your personal car? You're not worried about insurance, them stealing it, all these questions that I have from him. He said, no, I don't have to worry about it because this platform called Relay Rides, it takes care of that. It makes it easy. Plus, I'm in the midst of selling my car, and I don't want to pay that car note anymore. I put it on that Relay Rides app. I charge my guests $150, and I get about 70% of that, 80% of that, and it just makes sense. I'm like, yo, that's dope. I didn't tap into that opportunity right then and there until I realized that my car was a liability. And then I put just like I did my Airbnb, posted a picture of my car, make the price, make the little description, let people know it has Bluetooth, heated seats, all that good stuff. It was easier than making a Facebook profile, to be honest. I put it up, booked same day. I'm like, goodness gracious. It was only a couple hundred, like even $120, $130. I was so excited about that booking because, yes, you know me. Remember I told you before, I love the startup experience. I love the new challenges. I love being a first penguin because I know for sure a lot of people weren't on Turo. So I said, okay, this is an opportunity for me to get in here, kill the game, and then share how I did it. And that's what I did. I became a top host. Just like on Clubhouse, the Turo founders, the Turo CEOs, executives, they reached out to me. They say, yo, we see you. You got 40 cars in one of our biggest market. We want to have a conversation with you to interview on how you liking it, what features that we're going to be rolling out, get your feedback. All this is happening continuously because when I get to somebody else's land, I plant seeds, I produce. I'm not just there to be a consumer. I want to be able to be a producer. And through that production, I know for a fact, people are going to ask me, yo, Matt, how did you do it? So I'm already documenting the process. Transparency is on a super, super high. I literally document how much each car was making me, how much each car was losing me, what cars got totaled, what cars got in an accident. I'm documenting the process. And it has a lot of entertainment value when I share these stories like, yo, my car got stolen on Super Bowl weekend. Even though I lost $6,000, I actually made 6 figures. Because he stole my car, my credit score went up. And because my credit score went up, I got 33 cars because of that situation. And telling that story and be like, yo, that's crazy. Run that back, run that back. You know what I'm saying? So those are the different experiences. That's how I started on Airbnb and Turo. Basically the same way. I heard about it. I needed it. I tested it out, and it made sense.
So you said 43 cars.
44 now. I just picked up a 2020 C8. Yeah, 44. I need to get used to saying that. It's officially 44 as of last week.
By the time this interview comes out, you might be at 50. And then what about Airbnb?
Yeah, I have 7 years. I scaled down. To 2. It was too overwhelming for me because it was for the money.
Yeah.
If I wanted more money, of course, get more units.
Yeah.
But for me, it got so overbearing because, I had a team, but I still have to be accountable of that team. I didn't create a system where I'm fully just the investor. That's it. I can. However, with the situation, I just opted out of managing so many different units. So I just picked my 2 high-performing units, got rid of the rest of them, and now I'm just operating 2 units that I have all in the same place. Literally the same build, like a hotel. I can literally walk to my unit. That's how I like it right now.
These aren't properties that you have a mortgage on. Okay, so it's
I do not own these condos. So remember, the relationship I had is I'm leasing them, but I had an agreement in my addendum that I'm allowed to be able to do short-term rentals under a corporate veil, basically corporate. Crazy is the leasing manager that hooked me up actually got promoted. So a new leasing manager came in. He's like, wait, what's this guy doing? Is he running a hotel in our building? What's going on? Shut this man down. You know what I'm saying? Which I understood. I understood because I didn't have a relationship with her. I had a relationship with him. So now I have to explain, be transparent. Look, I'm doing something that technically I'm not supposed to allowed to do, but I'm not going to name any names. I was given the blind eye for what I'm doing based on the relationship and based how I operate. I wasn't causing no issues, no disturbances. And if anything did happen, I was able to rectify the issue really quick. I'm a good tenant. Check my track record. She said at the end of the day, I believe you in all that and you're cool and all that, but we're not allowing you to do all these Airbnbs. So I had to, yeah. She literally told me that. And she's super cool. She's super cool. And I understood the situation. So the units that I was allowed to do Airbnb in, I built a relationship with the homeowner. So it's not managed by the leasing company. It's managed by the actual owner of the condo. And me being transparent with the condo owner directly, I was able to do the deal to be able to still do the short-term rentals via not just Airbnb, but peer space as well. So renting it out for video shoots, photo shoots, even office space, things of that nature. But it all came down to the relationships and how I wanted to be able to operate my business. Do I want to do multiple businesses? Do I want to just be the investor? Did I want to be hands-on? Whatever the case may be, I was really intentional in that process.
So let's talk about the marketing strategy behind it, right? So I can imagine that, obviously you just mentioned the walk score and all that stuff and making sure that the condos are in an area that's highly trafficked and all that stuff. For the cars, I'm pretty sure, having Teslas and Mercedes and all these different Corvettes and stuff like that obviously it sells itself, right, at the end of the day. But what type of strategies have you put into place to ensure that it's being rented at a high clip?
That's a good question. Because some people think that just because Turo or Airbnb is a marketplace that you don't have to market. I mean, at some point, you do have to separate yourself from the other people that's on the market, right? Even when you go to the mall, I realize in the mall, there's a bunch of traffic in the mall that you didn't have to necessarily market to those people for them to come in the mall, but you still have to get their attention. So the people in the kiosk, they be yo, I bought some lotion, from the kiosk people, only because he got my attention. He said, come over here, let me talk to you, let me holler at you, right? If he didn't do that, or if he didn't have a nice kiosk booth, if he didn't have a presentable appearance, I probably would not have stopped and had a conversation with him, right? So he had some type of marketable value that allowed me to be attracted by his marketing. So what I've done on Airbnb was all my units, they have some type of uniqueness to it. So I literally have themed units. I have the Airbnb theme. I have an 80-foot painting thing. So meaning on every wall, there's an 8-foot painting that's a picture of Jimi Hendrix. Every type of unit I had has a theme. One of my most popular themes was my arcade theme. The whole unit had LED lights, bunch of arcades, Mario Kart painting, Pac-Man arcade on the side. It was so dope. Yeah, so when I posted it on the picture on the main thumbnail, when people were searching a place to stay in Atlanta, my space will always pop up first because it gets the highest clicks. And that's part of marketing. My marketing was, how can I bring more awareness and attract more people to my unit? It was through the thumbnail, having a dope picture, a dope icon, and a dope title. It literally said ATL's #1 arcade theme Airbnb. Dope title, dope picture. I literally will look at the analytics of my regular unit, my regular townhouse that I attract families at, and the arcade unit. My townhouse unit will get like 600 views. The arcade unit will get like 3,200 views in 1 month, right? And what's crazy is the townhouse is bigger, it's more hospitable. It's a lot of things more value in the townhouse. But that arcade was hitting so much because it was so unique and it provided a better experience. Because a lot of people, when they travel, they don't just want somewhere to stay or for somewhere to lodge. They want that stay to also be a part of their experience as well. And that helped with that process.
And you mentioned some of the corporate use case. I think you mentioned it earlier about the Airbnbs. So is there any opportunity to form any partnership deals with with corporations so that anytime folks are traveling, they can leverage your property?
Yeah, Tesla. The first month I put up with my Tesla, one of the CEOs of a huge electricity company booked my car. So I was able to check out his name. I Googled his name. I'm like, yo, dang, this dude's huge. He was in town for a keynote speaking event. I mean, a $1 billion company that's booking my car. And the most crazy thing is my car wasn't the latest model. I had a 2013 and 2017. And he booked it. I said, okay, that's what's up. So I looked him up. And then once I found out who he was, when I met with him, I already had prepared questions, prepared insight, prepared everything for him. And that built a relationship. We didn't actually do anything outside of the dope conversations. But I realized that, like you mentioned, there's ways to leverage the relationships that come if you're willing to do research or at least care to get insight or provide value to the people who are renting it out. Again, I met so many people because think about it, I rent out luxury cars. So the people renting these cars, a lot of times they got something going on. So sometimes, obviously, not all every time. And the only way for me to find out is to have conversations. I literally have conversations with my guests all the time. So what you do? What you got going on? What you in town for? On not no small talk, but on some, yo, I really want to get interested in what you got to say and what you got to do and figure out how I can help you with this process and maybe build our relationship to the next level. So creating that passive impact for me is one of the biggest things, and leveraging the businesses I have from the condos and to the cars.
Yeah. So I'm very big on folks trying to do their best to take relationships from platforms and bring them off, right? So we had a conversation about that with folks on Clubhouse and just other platforms in general, trying to leverage that while they can and figure out how they can cultivate real relationships offline in case Clubhouse deletes one day or Instagram deletes one day. I'm not on Turo and Airbnb as an actual host, right? Or as a renter, but are there opportunities for folks to kind of retain data that they can use to then remarket to that group of people who's been rocking with them for some time?
Yeah, that's part of the process I have in my check-in process. So I actually have a storefront. I'm right next to Hertz. So I scaled my business on Turo so much that I literally end up finding somebody put me onto a space that was available that used to be a car rental space for vans, I believe. And I took over the space. It's right next to Enterprise and Hertz, like literally at the airport, the most busiest airport in the nation, Atlanta Hartsfield. I literally have a lot there. So when people pull up, they check in. I actually ask for their email and number so I can be able to stay in contact with them. Of course, the number is provided on Turo. I database that for sure. So I literally have an Excel for every single person who rented one of my vehicles and some of the data around that booking. And if I ever need to reach out or put them in the email list and send a blast that I have a deal or whatever the case may be, or Turo link up, whatever the case may be, I'm able to do so because I do collect that data. That's super important. Yeah, most people collect data just to spam them. I don't collect data to spam. I collect data to nurture relationships. Somebody invested $600 with me to rent one of those cars for the weekend. You definitely want to be able to connect with them. One, why were they spending $600? That's not a small amount of money. What they currently do, like, I really get an interest in that aspect.
You brought up a good point. What's the difference, in your opinion, between spam and the correct way to nurture the relationship? Email marketing is so glorified. Everyone's talking about it. It's trendy. It's like, whatever, I'll develop your email list and then just, create a newsletter. It's like, it sounds easier said than done, right? So a lot of people say entrepreneurs should do that, right? And entrepreneurs are taking their advice to really try and cultivate these. What's a good example of a way that they can nurture without being overbearing?
Right. So for me, first, the difference between email marketing and just spamming people, I think spam is, one, I think somebody needs to opt in. And two, most people who spam, they have ulterior motives and no concern on whether that person wanted that product or service or not. For me, the reason why I have a huge email database, probably 300,000 plus, and on Black Friday, all I got to press is have the copy written and segment who I want to send, press the send button. I'm going to make 6 figures off of that, off of emails. And the reason why I was able to do it because I truly want to be a resource. So the reason why I even got emails that are being retained and not unsubscribing is because I was offering resources that made them say, yo, all I got to do is give you my contact information to get this resource, run it. And then after you got my contact information, you weren't just spamming me with a bunch of sales offers, but you were consistently giving more resources that were helping me with my life development, personal development, business development. Run it. Matter of fact, let me tell my other people about this email list because they need to be on here as well. And that's how it is. So I was treating my email list like a library. And every now and then I'll have a commercial. So I'll have a 15-minute show and then take a little small 30-second break and what's crazy is most of my commercials or my sales emails were also resources that I just had affiliations with. So we'll be talking about Shopify, 10 best practices of the Shopify app that you should have on your Shopify store. And then I'll have a partnership deal with an actual app provider. And we'll be able to break bread on that for everybody who actually added it and signed up and subscribed to that specific service. Those are the strategic ways that I'll be able to monetize my resources that I actually offer for free.
And what's like the percentage split within these upsell, scenarios? How many of them are like affiliate links, right? And those partnerships versus like products that you've created that you want to sell?
Yeah, majority is usually affiliates and strategic partnerships. I don't know the number. I don't have the number for it, but I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. I do not like selling. I don't like having people pull out their money from pocket, but I did realize that I'm actually doing a disservice. My mentors told me this, my peers as well. They told me I'm kind of doing a disservice not charging them for things that they should be paying for. Maybe because this is the terminology they say. If they pay attention, or they actually have an investment, some type of skin in the game that actually influences them to actually put the information into action, which I get 100%. I can say one of the things I don't enjoy is the selling. I like bringing awareness to things. I don't like selling, having people pull out their wallets to actually pay for it.
Two follow-up questions before we jump into like a quick best practices situation for the listeners. One, how much money, if you feel comfortable disclosing, like do you gross per month on both the Airbnb and Turo business?
Yeah, so for my Airbnb, I'm doing 7,000 net for one of my units. One of my units does 7,000, and my second unit does around anywhere from averaging from $2,000 to $3,000 net. And I believe that big difference is because the people it attracts. Like one of my units is like straight up street decor, like it's super dope and attracts the Atlanta ballers and even the Spaniards, and they don't mind paying that $450 a night or even $350 for an hour for that specific unit. My Turo business does on average anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 a month net. It grosses around almost 90. Yeah, and again, it's not for me. What's crazy about those two businesses, I don't care about that money at all. I make most of my impact and money from digital courses. I make more money off my Turo course than I do from actually renting out cars on Turo. That's the crazy thing about it. And with that business, I'm doing easy $200,000, $300,000 a month. Granted, I've only been doing it for the last 3 months, but it can only go up from here.
You're talking about specific to the Turo course, or you're talking about digital courses in general?
The only digital course right now that I have is the Turo course.
Got it. Well, listen, you need to put out a Clubhouse course too, bruh. You got to.
My phone at. I literally wrote the course up already.
Okay.
And I was writing this course. I'm like, yo, this thing is valuable. And the beautiful thing about this course is everything I'm actually advising, I'm actually putting in practice. And it's the reason why I'm gaining the followership I have right now. And whether I'm putting every tip on here and practice myself, some of them I don't do myself, but some of my peers are doing it. And that's the reason why they're able to get a lot of traction. So I literally have on here the Clubhouse Hacks course. I'm going to be presenting it on Tuesday on one of the rooms. But I don't like presenting valuable information without having the funnel. You get all this dope game on the specific room for an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours. But then who's helping them with that support, that follow-up, sharing their testimonials and keeping them excited through that process? I really want to create a full funnel for this process before I actually go crazy sharing the information.
So you're working on it right now. You're working on like the back end. Okay, got it.
Writing up the course yesterday. And of course, the beautiful thing about courses is they're living documents. They always get updated as I learn new stuff. So that's why I'm always hopping in different rooms. Oh, dang, I never moderated like that. I like that. I like the feedback they're getting. I like how somebody's doing this and that. And I'm just adding and making it more resourceful. And it's going to be really dope, especially when it becomes public, that all the new users have access to a course like this so they can be able to hit the ground running versus feeling lost in a whole new world.
And I would imagine, you don't have to confirm, but I'd imagine those are conversations that you're having with the founders, but they need to tap into that and allow you to be the poster child for that, because it's less genuine when it's the platform that's the one that's promoting these things. I'm not going to say less genuine, but it's more buy-in when it's someone who looks like me, who's been doing it, and case studies are amazing. The credibility is there.
That's hard. I never even thought about that. Because some people ask, yo, why doesn't just Clubhouse just do clubhouseknows.com? Why don't they just do the course themselves? Like coming from somebody who's an active user, active participant of the platform. It's more genuine. It just feels better. So I'm glad you picking that up, because I never understood how to communicate that, the answer to that question I'll be getting.
Yeah, authenticity, man. You know, they got to tap into the people who are doing it on their own, who are figuring it out on their own. It just hits better. So your team, what does your team look like? Because obviously you're doing a lot. You're killing it. But what does that look like? Because even with the Clubhouse stuff, talking about the app that you created and like the notes and all that stuff, and you say you and your team are executing that. So like, what does that look like? And is this team just in place for all things Matty J, and then you disperse the work based on what opportunities come about, or is it specific to the opportunities?
That's what it is as of right now. I feel like I'm on their team, as they're all members of my church. So I never had a team. Like before I started Turo Airbnb, I built my businesses to be automated on its own and required no help. That's how I was setting up my operation. So anytime I'll pull up somewhere and they'll see me in a nice car, they'll see me out, people will always ask me, hey, do you got a job for me? And I'll always feel bad because I never had any opportunities available, ever. But through Airbnb, I needed a cleaner. I needed somebody to manage the messages, to handle the check-ins and checkouts, to handle so many different pieces. And with my cars, I needed help in that aspect as well. I didn't want to find somebody I didn't know to have the keys to my $100,000, even $20,000 car. It was hard. By God's grace, I was able to tap into my spiritual network, the people that go to my church who have standards, whose core values align with my core values, and allow me to be able to have that process become easier. I didn't have to worry about, dang, are they going to steal money out of the register? I didn't have to worry about any of that because I know their core values. And I know they fear God. And they know also that most of my business, the income goes back to facilitating our gospel mission. So I feel like if anybody steals from me, they're stealing directly from God. So me cultivating my relationship with my team came from members of my church. So there's 7 of us right now. And they've been with me for, like you mentioned, any business I have, any side hustle, any new opportunity, we're there to pivot. We start selling gym equipment. My team was right there ready to go to the stores, get the gym supplies, set up inventory, handle the messages on Facebook Marketplace, the whole process. Got the most amazing team in the world. 100% believe without them, I wouldn't be able to be nowhere near where I'm at right now as far as the scalability and how quick I was able to do these things. I literally have 44 cars now in less than 2 years of being in the business and being able to top super hosts, all-star hosts on both platforms of Airbnb and Turo because of that team. It wasn't easy though, to be honest, because that wasn't the first time I tried to build a team. I tried to build partnerships before and it never worked out because my lack of communication, lack of sense of direction, lack of us having weekly meetings on what we want to do, lack of responsibilities on knowing what our roles are and staying in our lane. Long list of reasons why the teams were failing. But by God's grace, God said, don't worry about the team. I'll provide them for you. Your brothers and sisters in church are going to be able to help you out. And because you guys are on the same page, you respect each other, and most importantly, you respect God, you'll be able to work this situation out. That's what's been working out for me.
But you have to give yourself some credit too. I mean, obviously, it's a value system. It's the fact that they fear God. But I think also that speaks to leadership, right? On your side, the fact that folks are buying in it as much to be able to pivot and be able to still execute and feel like they're on a mission that's aligned with yours. I think that's fire.
Facts. When I first sat down with some of the team members, I asked them, what do they want to accomplish? Like, what do they want to do? So that was my biggest thing. I don't want to be an employer who just wants to lock somebody into a business without understanding what their actual life mission is and helping them facilitate it while helping them facilitate my business. Because at the end of the day, to be honest, as much as I say my team, and we're in this together, I'm the owner of the brand at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So they don't get the full benefits of the ownership aspect and having ownership benefits. So I want to make sure that they understand why they're there as well and them understand that I'm with them in support on helping them get to where they want to get. And even if it's my position, even if you want to be able to be the best Airbnb person on the platform, cool. I'm cool with that. I'm here to help you facilitate that too.
That's very important. I heard you in Spectacular, Law of the 33. I never heard that before, but I thought it was interesting. So you said 33% of your circle should be mentors, so people who are ahead of you or have experiences that you can learn from. 33% should be your peers, and 33% should be people that you're mentoring. Where'd that come from? When did you start applying that?
Even if you type it on Google, right, I'll do it right now, matter of fact. Oh, there's a gentleman who actually came up with this concept. Me being on Clubhouse most recently, I don't like too structural things no more. Before, like, I really love structure because I saw its benefits. The more structured I am, the more organized I am, the more fruits I get to be. And the only reason I believe that is because everybody who I was around who was non-structured, they were unsuccessful. But now me being on Clubhouse, there's people who have no structure that are still successful. So it opened my eyes to say, dang, not everything has to be 33%, 33%, 33%. So I'm now changing it into a framework of have a percentage of mentees, have a percentage of peers, have a percentage, whether it's 90, 10, or 80, 20, 80, 10, 10, however it is. I think the first step is to have that category of different influences in our life. And I really love the law of the 33 because that helped me be more intentional with who I'm around. Most people, if you look at their body of friends, it's just peers. They have no mentors and they have no mentees. I know the benefit of having a mentor. A lot of people know the benefit of having a mentor, but a lot of people don't understand the benefit of having mentees. Mentees keep me accountable. They keep me sharp. They keep me on top of my game. They force accountability to practice what I say I'm preaching. They keep me on that level. And my mentors, they help me move up, obviously. They help me move up to the next level by exposing me to areas that I haven't been exposed to or holding me accountable by them saying, yo, Matty, I'm your mentor. You said you're going to do this. Where we at? That's key for me. And even my peers. My peers are actually the reason why I dropped my course. My peers, Neo Davis and Him 500, Inspect, like, yo, Matt, why don't you have a course? Like, man, you know me, man. Y'all over there making all this money selling courses. I don't really care about the money. But they dropped so much bars on me. He's like, bro, you're doing a disservice to your students not having a structured course for them to be able to tap into. And once they hit me on that level, I felt that. I didn't want to do it for money. So once I felt that, I said, okay, let me launch it. Let me go ahead and launch it. And that was probably the best thing ever for them to give me that advice and me actually launch it. I see the benefits. The impact is crazy. My conversations are more clear. A lot of people who follow me don't know what I do because I do so much. But now that I'm focusing on one aspect, one course, now it's very clear. Yo, Matty has one of the top car rental companies in the Southeast, maybe even the nation, as a young Black entrepreneur. Only reason they're able to say that is because it's clear now. It's clear.
Intentionality. That's the theme of this conversation. What have you learned about yourself from this journey?
Man, I learned my core values, me having this conversation of impact, passive impact versus passive income, me having a conversation of core values through faith, transparency, and resourcefulness. I just all learned how to communicate that within the last year. This year, I've been doing things just organically, naturally, without understanding what all this means, how to put a word on it, how to put a meaning to it. So I'm literally learning a lot about myself, so much so that the impact that I'm creating for myself, I know for a fact, I'm about to go crazy from this year moving on helping people like impact a lot. If I put a quantitative number on how many people I help, probably be in the thousands. After this year, it's going to be in the millions. Now that I know more about myself and understand myself because of the people that put me on to how to put that mirror in my face.
I believe it. I just wrote that down. Passive impact. I like that. And also last night, compounded consistency. I don't know if you heard that. Remember that? Fire. Fire.
We get it, but what they got these cool terms to like, yo, passive impact, that word is crazy to me.
That is insane. I never heard that, but that's it. I like that. I got a couple like the rapid fire ones. It'll be really quick. It's like, I don't know, 10 seconds each or whatever. So one fun fact about yourself.
Fun fact, golly. I need to write that down because I need to add it to my list of questions about myself. I don't know what to say on the top of my head at all, to be honest with you. I'm not think about that one, man. To be honest with you. Fun fact.
One book, podcast, or content series that helped you along your journey.
All right, number one book, I ain't gonna lie, I guess it's Lean Startup Methodology by Eric Ries. For sure, like structured the way I was moving. And that book, it basically talks about you don't need to have a perfect product before you launch. You just need a minimal viable product. The basics to be able to say, yo, even though this is not perfect, this is launchable. So let's go ahead and get our early beta testers to help develop the process. And them being the early adopters, they give you the feedback that you need and the resources you need to be able to take yourself to the next level. Clubhouse is a perfect example. They didn't launch with it being the most perfect app in the world. I think it only becomes perfect, quote unquote, only through the launch, just launching it. Let everybody else give the feedback. And I see what's happening right now. This is my first app company that I'm part of in the early stages. And I see all the benefits. But yeah, so that's the book. As far as podcasts, whose podcast really messed me up? I enjoyed EYL, Earn Your Leisure's podcast. Rashad and Joy. Yeah. There was a podcast before that. Oh, Side Hustle School. Yeah, that's Side Hustle School. I really love that. And Dave Ramsey. Those three. That was it. Dave Ramsey's Money Makeover book and his podcast. I forget what the podcast is called, but I tap in on a regular, and that really helped shape my mind frame when it comes to finances and how I can apply it to my life.
Best piece of life advice that you've been given so far?
The best bar quote.
Yeah.
I think it's more recently. My brother Ben X literally said it's not about passive income, it's about passive impact. I don't know if it's because it's fresh, but nothing beats that. Passive impact? Nobody says that. Nobody says, yo. All I hear is, yo, passive income, multiple streams, passive income. Passive impact allows you to have the passive income, but most importantly, create a legacy of helping so many people, and not actively. A lot of people do active impact, meaning they impact people when they're only in the room at that time or in that speaking event or whatever the case may be, only at that moment. And then it dies off after a week or two if they don't follow them on social media. Passive impact is when you create long-lasting digital products, books, implant philosophies in people's brains through different things that will be here when we're not on here. And the only way to have things that are here when we're not here is documented books, courses, recorded audios, things of that nature. And like I mentioned before, I did an interview with David Shands about 4 days ago, and that was passive impact because I'm still getting sales. People paying $1,499 for a course based off of information I shared days ago that I'm no longer actively talking about. You know what I'm saying? And that impact and those DMs I was getting, like people were saying, yo, Matt, I really appreciate you sharing the game. I heard about Turo, but I was kind of weary. But now that you shared that game on that app, on the interview, I'm ready full force. What I got to do to tap into it? That's passive impact. Because that person is going to put it into practice, and then he's going to be able to put his whole family on and his circle on how he was able to do it. So that's one of definitely the biggest impactful bars that I've got. Fortunately, it was more recently.
And the last question, who's on your board of directors and what's their relation to you? And I say this because I think everyone's the CEO of their life. We kind of mentioned it before with the Law of the 33, but who's on that board and who are they to you?
Yeah, so expect for sure. One of the board directors, actually all my members of the Power Circle. So there's David Shan, Kendra, the trademark lawyer, Steve Canal runs the One Music Fest and among a lot of other things, and him 500 and Neo Davis. Anytime I'm about to launch something, even my Black Friday campaign, I'm like, yo, I'm about to launch this Black Friday campaign. I need your insight. I need your advice. And so I can be able to be confident with this process, even though I'll be able to kill it by myself. But having that board, having that soundboard of people who you trust and you respect to give you insight will help multiply what you were going to do, what you thought you was going to do by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Is there anyone who's not currently on your board that you would want to?
I don't even know the answer to that. I never even thought about that. I'm writing that down right now. Who do I want? Oh, you know what I do want? Diddy. Yeah, Diddy. That's my dream relationship. Diddy, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. We've been in the same room, we know the same people. Spec talks to Diddy all the time, but it still hasn't been me yet to be able to tap in. So hopefully when he gets in Clubhouse, one day he gonna get in Clubhouse, he gonna see me smiling in the corner of the room. I gotta drop some bars.
Yeah, no, it's coming. It's coming for sure. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for this. This was awesome. Thank you for this.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Appreciate the conversation. It wasn't an interview. Appreciate the vibes.
Yeah.
Appreciate you doing what you do as far as knowing how to be able to manage the flow of this conversation. Man. I know this is going to be really impactful for those who open their ears.
Oh, of course. Yeah, people are going to love this, man. Thank you very much. A lot of gems. Passive impact. I know you got to go.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to tap into you. I'm going to follow up with you after I pray.
Yes, please. And have a good session.
All right. Appreciate you. God bless you.
All right. You too. God bless.
Thank you very much for tuning into today's episode. We hope you found immense value in the discussion, but more importantly, we hope you were left with some practical gems that you can use to power your hustle immediately. For episode notes, for resource lists and cheat sheets, please visit Clout101.com. And to stay up to date on all things Clout101, please follow us on Instagram at Clout101MKTG. Lastly, it would mean the world to us if you left a rating on whichever platform you listen with, whether it's Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. It helps us better understand how to serve you and also what to improve on episode to episode. I'm Idia Ogala signing out. Stay safe, blessed, and encouraged.